Hey guys, SGT here, and I'm really pleased to have on the line one of the rising names in the truth movement, Mike Krieger from LibertyBlitzkrieg.com. Mike, welcome.
John, great to be on your show for the first time, and also wanted to thank you because I've noticed you have been a supporter and reposting my blogs ever since I started, and that's been great, and I appreciate it, and your site's awesome, and so great to finally get in touch with you.
Oh, thanks a million, man. And, we do post all of your stuff. You're a great writer. I want to talk to you about one of your recent articles called Reality Bites. But before we get to that, one of the things that I love about you, at the top of your website, you have a quote from Plato, and it says this: "We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light." And that really hits the nail on the head, Mike, because as we look around, most men in this society are either sleepwalking or too sidetracked with things like, football, fantasy football, sports, to even care that the republic is crumbling.
Yeah, no, it's the biggest problem we have, and I think you're aware of it, I'm aware of it, and that's why we try to pound the table through our blogs, through when we meet people in the street in our day-to-day activities, to really sort of shake people out of their slumber, out of the matrix, because if they're asleep, as I've said time and time again, they are not only not helping us now when we're trying to rally the troops, but they're also going to be a threat once things get really bad, because then they are a malleable, manipulable force for the enemy. So we really need to shake these people out of their slumber. And I mean, the key thing for me was, and this is what I try to tell people, is like, you really need to understand that fear is the most negative emotion you can possibly have. It does no good. It puts you into a corner. In the end of the day, we have one life here on Earth. We can't determine how we're going to leave this planet, leave this life, and so you may as well make the best of it while you're here. We're all going to die, so don't be a coward little child shivering in the corner. Not going to help anybody, not going to help yourself. So that's the key. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I love that, and that's the spirit of liberty. That's the spirit of the founders, coming through your voice, coming through so many voices now in alternative media. We know that CNN is losing its audience faster than it can possibly imagine, and that's the good news. The bad news is that I really think that the republic is falling. We can talk about this Wall Street fascist coup. I also want to talk to you about the history of the attempted Wall Street fascist coup in 1934 with Prescott Bush and his cronies. But let me ask you this first. Mike, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being unrecoverable, how far gone is this republic in your estimation?
Oh, I think very recoverable, actually. Which is, if I didn't think so, I could get a passport to another country, and you would never have heard from me again. I'm not doing this for, I'm not someone that enjoys punishment or wants to be in a gulag or tortured or anything. No, I believe this is going to be one. It just will be difficult. So, but if you're asking me as far as like how far, are we from like not having a republic? I mean, we already don't. So I guess my point is that when people realize how bad things are, the key is, again, not to be afraid, but to say, we're already here. We've already lost it. So the key is, let's get it back. I don't think that there's much to save. So in other words, we know this thing is going down. The establishment knows this thing is going down. The key is, when it does go down, we're not going to let them get away with their plan for total control, police state, financial terrorists controlling everything, digital currency, cashless society. You know the drill. So the key here is, we need to refound the republic. It's already gone.
It shouldn't surprise me that you said that, because that's exactly how I feel. What I find surprising is that you still have so much hope, and I appreciate that, because that's what we all need. My hope was rising most quickly this spring with the Ron Paul Revolution. I got to go see him speak twice, and the spirit of liberty is alive and well in this country. It's just that the mainstream media won't report on it. You write in your most recent article, Reality Bites, and I want to quote this: "We need to understand that there is a war raging outside, a war between the parasite class and the productive human. The parasites have total control of all levers of power at the moment, and they intend to use the ultimate implosion of this system to further consolidate their gains in order to create a neo-feudalist society where productive humans essentially become serfs." Now, that's exactly right. Now, do you think they're going to bring this thing down on purpose? Is that the game plan, or have they lost control, Mike?
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. Now, I believe that with every single passing day, that they haven't made a move, i.e. allowing things to crash, things to sort of get out of hand and chaotic, is another day for us to rally the troops, wake people up, get out of the system, become prepared. And so every day that goes by when things are not chaotic, I think is something good for us, not for them. Because at the end of the day, I believe that their attempt back in 2008 to, sort of let the crash, which was going to happen. I mean, whether, the powers that be made it happen then or not is irrelevant. They knew it was mathematically guaranteed to happen, and they were preparing to sort of take over the dialogue in the aftermath. And, I've said this before, what they tried to do, as you remember, is say, well, this is a failure of capitalism. This is a failure of free markets. Well, we didn't have free markets. We didn't have capitalism. We had crony capitalism. We have central banking. It's a joke. So that's the key message we need to get across. And the reason I am so encouraged is that even back then, when there were way more sheeple than there are today, I mean, I don't think you could argue that people are far more awake in 2012 than they were in 2007, 2008. They still couldn't get away with it, Sean. That meme did not work. And what came as a response to that collapse? The Tea Party, Occupy Wall Street, and guess what? When you look at the core tenets of both those movements, they are the same. No bailouts, no more crony capitalism, no more Wall Street oligarchy, right? Those are the key things that Occupy Wall Street and Tea Party agree on. And those were the reactions to the crisis. So I think that's really good. And so what's scaring these guys is the fact that maybe if there's another crisis, even more people will figure out, right, the true power structure. And so that's why I think they're afraid of a new crisis. So, I mean, we're going to have to see. But every single day when things are calm is just another day for us to wake people up, get people informed, get the message out. And then when it does happen, we will win the day as far as the dialogue.
Well, let me ask you this. Very well said. And let me ask you this. As it relates to trying to, quote-unquote, repair or save the current system, or reform the current system, do you think it's too late, or is the reimplementation of something like Glass-Steagall at all a fail stop that could help plug the holes in the dam, or is it too late?
Yeah, well, okay. I think that I'm someone that likes to say sort of it's never too late. But if we're talking about is it too late to reform and maintain and grow U.S. standard of living from here, from this sort of plateau that we're at, I think it is too late. So in other words, much lower standard of living, massive changes to the monetary system, financial system are completely inevitable at this point. But what I would like to see, or what I would hope, is that we start to really have once things sort of really get nasty again, what wins the day is, hey, well, what is our money? Do we want to be on this debt-based fiat currency that 12 people around the country decide how much to make of it and who to give it out to? Do we want to have investment banks and commercial banks all together gambling with deposits and blowing us up and then getting bailed out? Do we want to send our boys and girls to foreign lands to die for the petrodollar? These are the things that we need to address and change, and hopefully in the right way, so that whatever system we have afterwards serves the individual liberty of the citizens of the United States. Of course, what they're trying to do is to change the system in, of course, a whole other way, which is further centralization, further central banking control, further police state, less liberties, more power in the hands of unelected technocrats to decide what you do, if you can breed, what kind of job you do, no weapons, Bill of Rights gone, things like that. So, no, we're not going to have what we have, right? But the key is we don't want what they want.
Okay, and let me ask you this now. As it relates to this fascist coup of our own government, which is what I believe has happened, if we take a step into the Wayback Machine and we go back to 1934, this is on the record for people that don't know this. It's going to sound crazy, but it's true. Prescott Bush, the father to George Bush Sr., he and his cronies, which included the Remingtons, the DuPonts, Rockefellers, Mellons, J.P. Morgan, George Herbert Walker, and Samuel Bush, tried to overthrow the U.S. government in 1934. They enlisted the help of General Smedley Butler, who went along with the plan only to whistle blow at the last minute, and nobody went to prison. My point, Mike, is that it seems like that military-style coup that they wanted to implement in the 1930s, it didn't work, but what has worked is this soft coup, this political coup, this Federal Reserve banking coup, this Wall Street coup, this fascist coup of corporations over humanity. And do you agree? Do you think that that's what we're up against and that's what we've seen and most people just don't know it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you had a chance or any of your listeners had a chance to check out the 1958 interview with Aldous Huxley by Mike Wallace. It's about 30 minutes. It's on my site, and I suggest everyone go take a listen because he nails it. So many decades ago, exactly what he saw in the future. And what he said was, through technology and more effective propaganda, the serfs, or us, would learn to love our servitude. We wouldn't even really acknowledge that we're being that we're essentially slaves to a small technocratic, technologically advanced oligarchy. And that is exactly what has essentially happened, and they're now trying to sort of put the finishing touches on that. And you can see it everywhere. I mean, it's everything that Huxley talks about, from the, like, take a look at the serotonin reuptake inhibitors like that the Americans are on, the percentage of prescription drugs and happy pills and all this stuff. I mean, it's exactly like the drug Soma that he described in his book Brave New World.
That's right.
So this is sort of happened. But here's the thing. Again, I want to make this very clear because people need to not be afraid. The reason the establishment is passing all of these laws in your face now, okay, is not from a position of strength, but from a position of weakness. And if you study this stuff, it becomes very clear that their intent was always, all along, to not have an in-your-face, guns-in-your-face, fight-it-all-out, violent, repressive dictatorship, but a soft dictatorship that Huxley described. So the fact that they're having to get in our face is actually them working from a point of weakness, trying to intimidate us through this psyop of, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you can't do anything about it, so go be afraid, shut up. Not working, not going to work, they're finished.
Thanks for watching Part 1. Don't miss Part 2, and be sure to visit sgtreport.com for all of my original content and the most important daily news. Thanks for watching.